And welcome. You know, for many of us in Northern California and the LGBT community, it wasn't news until it hit the pages of the Bay Area Reporter. And a few months ago, they came up with something new. So we knew what was going on at night. It was called Bar Tab. And we're here with its editor, Jim Provenzano. Welcome.
Thanks, David.
You know, we were chatting before the cameras started that Bar Tab has got to be maybe one of the first new print publications to come out that actually is making money.
Yeah, in gay media, a lot have closed in the last few years, and 8 months ago in May, we decided to start something new.
But this seems to be counterintuitive. I mean, everything you're reading is that print is dead, all this stuff. You don't believe that?
Well, we have an advantage because we have the history of the Bay Area Reporter. We distribute it monthly, the first Thursday, inside the BAR, so we already have distribution, we have the reputation, we have a lineup of advertisers, and we're expanding. But putting the website together, making it iPhone handy, doing there's a page view PDF version. So when the world does go no print, we're already there with 3 other versions.
Yeah, you know, I read something. It's about 2 years ago now in The Economist, and it said that it hypothesized that the last person would put down the last piece of paper in 2043. I don't know if that's true or not, but do you see it changing? I mean, what do you as a consumer, not as the editor of Bar Tab, where do you get your news? Do you go to your iPhone first, or computer, or
I go
paper?
to the web. I do go to the web. I like to look at a print newspaper. I like to look at the weeklies and see who's, well, now that I'm more invested in who's buying ads, but I'm also invested in what coverage was there. I love to look at the other calendar editors and see what they chose, what the quote, straight weeklies pick. When they pick something gay, did I remember to pick it? So I want to make sure that everything's covered. But no, I edit the website as well, so I'm looking online at home and checking to make sure there aren't errors. But as a reader, a lot more people are certainly going to the web.
And what are you hearing from your readers? I mean, the Bay Area Reporter has been the paper of record for the LGBT community, certainly in Northern California, and I think it's still the largest circulation in the country. I think I'm right about that.
I think so too.
Are your readers saying that, yeah, we like the paper, or we just get most of our stuff on the website?
It's odd. I took it for granted even when I've been working for it, and then I realized as our 40th anniversary comes up, people really, it is a landmark that people have been reading it for decades, or even if they're younger, they read it online or they'll catch it. What now we have is, even though we have older readers, now we have younger readers. I mean, one of the guys on the cover of our January issue said, I'd never heard of Bar Tab before, and here I am on the cover, and he used it as his Facebook profile picture.
You know,
so it's
very funny. I mean, for those of us who are old enough to remember, the Bay Area Reporter became known as The Bar, because that's where you got it.
From the bars.
You got it in gay bars. And then there was a while there, correct me if I'm wrong, that the BAR really wanted to be seen as a more serious publication, so it was called the Bay Area Reporter. I remember when I wrote for it, it was like, don't call it The Bar, call it the Bay Area Reporter. And now you're kind of going back full circle in a sense, realizing there's a younger generation of people who socialize.
And they're hip to acronyms.
And they're hip to acronyms.
Yeah, I mean, Bar Tab SF is kind of our formal name because there's many other Bar Tab type entities that are not publications, and we didn't trademark that phrase, but we use the BAR capital letters to emphasize the Bay Area Reporter's tab on nightlife. So there's a lot of layers to it, again, as usual, but I'm enjoying going out and also just getting, the invites from people and saying, wow, this is a new event. We also cover the events that have been around for a long time, the big, circuit dance events, the ongoing drag shows, but there's always something new and different, or a retro scene that the young, like Tube State Connection, which is in Aunt Charlie's, which is one of the diviest bars, and proud of it. And we did a whole feature about it because other publications don't and haven't, or maybe they did, but we wanted to go further into why it's so popular, even though it's really underground and off the cuff and stuff.
But would you agree that in a sense this is counterintuitive, because a lot of print publications are, folding. We've seen it here in the Bay Area Reporter. The Sentinel went all digital. Well, publications.
Yeah, but there's other motivations for those poor business practices that had nothing to do with the quality of the journalism, or there were different reasons. I mean, when you have a staff that is dedicated and when the checks arrive on time for the freelancers, that's how a publication survives. When you respect the staff, when you respect the readers, when you go that extra step. I mean, I just did another round of proofing because I don't want whoever's name misspelled, because my name's been misspelled so many times. And being on both sides of it, being listed as an artist or when I was younger or a performer or whatever, you want to get represented properly. And that's kind of what our expanded listings and feature articles about someone that hasn't been written about lately. or maybe they have, but what's the different angle? Not so much about celebrity culture, but about the people who go to the bars, not just who's on stage. And that's what Bar Tab is really focusing on. It's the more we have a deliberate, diverse editorial policy that we want to cover people who of all kinds who go to bars.
You make my segue for me. You say that now you've been on both sides of the fence, writer and editor. Who edited you when you were? I mean, you are an author. I mean, I've read your books.
Thank you. Yes.
What is that like, being an editor who's edited?
Well, ironically, I got started in nightlife writing 20 years ago in New York when I was just doing temp work for Outweek, which is a very leftist, very activist, queer or publication that like a firework, it cindered up and died. But it had a cause and it had its moment. But I edited and created a spin-off nightlife magazine called Hunt, which was basically just listings and funny stories and sexy stories. And I didn't know. I had a degree in theater, and I did not know, journalism. I still don't know my dangling participles, as many of my readers can tell. But it was a passion. It was like I got into gay media because it asked me, and I got into it, and then I started freelancing. And here, 20 years later, oh, let's do a nightlife publication. And I was like, deja vu.
It comes full circle.
Yeah, yeah.
How much do you think this is reflective of the Bay Area Reporter's history? I mean, this year, the Bay Area Reporter celebrates 40 years. And there were stories that the Bay Area Reporter broke. I mean, a lot of the early AIDS, HIV writing that was important on a national, international scale or level came from the Bay Area Reporter. They were writing stories when the mainstream press was still trying to figure out what AIDS, HIV was.
Yeah.
I mean, how does this kind of fit in with the legacy of the Bay Area Reporter, you think?
The legacy of then has expanded to now where we're a source. When you go to Joe My God or Tal Road or other major media blogs that everyone, who does the blogosphere goes to, they source us. And if we get the story out first, they'll source us, and we like that because then we get 1,000 hits. And
right.
So there's that legacy of we're going right along with the new media.
So is this new print publication helping your identity in social media? I mean, are you getting more hits to the website because of the print version?
I'm finding that Facebook and other things, as long as you don't really over promote and just be polite, people will click and they'll go and they'll click the like and they'll click the article. I love watching and seeing, 200 impressions. 200 people went from Bar Tab Facebook to the website, and then they went over to that other article, and it's fun to watch. It's fun to, but we don't obsess about Google Analytics or how many iPhones versus Droids. I mean, well, we did today, but we're playing with things. We're enjoying it. I mean, it's a fun adventure. It's like, look, we're paying the bills, we're paying our writers, and people are liking it, and we're not getting complaints. So
do you think there is a different way that the Facebook generation treats print than, God dare I say it, our generation treats it?
Yeah, I mean, it may be that way. I mean, we may say, well, we're stopping print, but I don't want to be around when that happens. I'm converting my novels to ebooks and doing it very poorly, and probably going to have to hire someone to fix the code. But it's inevitable. Amazon said they're selling more ebooks than print, and I think of that famous scene in The Time Machine where Rod Taylor spins those little rings.
Yes.
And I was 5 when I saw that. And so if that's what it takes to last, to have a legacy, particularly with the BAR with the Obits project. I mean, when Tom, one of the volunteer with the Historical Society who worked with me, Tom Birch, he created, and with other guys, they created the obituary website, which I also edit the obituaries. Along with doing nightlife, I deal with death life. So I want to make sure that people know. They email or they call and say, oh, a friend died 2 years ago. So the obituary project is another online-only, totally searchable database that someone else decided to do. And that's new media. That's where it's like able to really
So as the Bay Area Reporter celebrates 40 years, Bar Tab
will celebrate 9, almost a year.
Yeah, is going boldly where no gay paper has ever gone before. Thank you. This is David Perry. We'll see you soon. Next segment on 10%. Thanks.